This is Ottawa, Ontario, from the 10th floor of the Hilton. Just the skyline. And that's a canal, and right behind this building is a tour boat. I have no idea what that is, but this is the Ottawa River.
That's the Rockcliffe boathouse that ferries them across to that town. They've been in operation since 1873.
And across, that is the Providence of Quebec over there, and this is the town of Gastineau, like the wrestler, Gastineau, or I think that's what he is. I'm just going to pan down the river here. And then apparently it splits here, or that's an island or something. Pull it in a little bit, maybe get a little more detail. And every city has a church. But they say that the people aren't as Catholic as they say they used to be, because the church demands that upon marriage you have a child each year for 3 years and you can't take communion. And this is Ottawa, from the Ottawa River. I don't know, we're downriver or upriver or what, but this is it. This is the Ottawa River, and this is the Regal Canal, supposedly built for military purposes. And it waterfalls into the Ottawa River.
Ready?
Yeah.
This is on memorial on 1st September 1939. Germans attacked Poland. Within 2 days, Britain, Canada, and other Commonwealth countries and France had declared war on Germany. And the Second World War, which the United States of America was to be drawn in 1941, had begun.
This is the same monument. Taking us through bus window.
National Hall Gallery. And Notre Dame is one of the oldest churches known to Ottawa. We have a lovely view of all the different bridges there, and one of the oldest bridges. And that's the back of Victorian Library here.
We're actually
Where
driving
we were going to be going
around
inside, and it's a lovely library. That's what the other part that was not gotten down.
There. And we'll try to warm up your day by giving you a wonderful tour, or I'll try to do that anyway. We have a few rules and regulations that we have to follow. The first one is, I ask that everybody keeps to their left. We're trying to avoid group collisions here. We had a big one this morning. 14 people were killed and 2 were wounded. It was a tough one, but we recuperated, but now we want to avoid the rest. The other rule is I ask that nobody smokes, eats, or drinking a milk. This is up for about half an hour to be sent. Now, if you have any video cameras, the Canadian Parliament system has 3 major components to it. The first one is the monarch. The Queen of Canada is Queen Elizabeth, but I also found out this morning that she's the Queen of England. That kind of causes a problem, doesn't it? representative for here, the Governor General. And he has all of the police power right here in Canada. We also have a House of Commons, 295 members of Parliament that are elected by the people every 4 or 5 years. Finally, we have a Senate, 105 senators appointed by the Governor General on a recommendation of the Prime Minister. Now, these three components work hand in hand as far as the legislative process is concerned. Usually a bill is introduced in the House of Commons. The members will discuss it. We'll start bringing amendments to it, we'll bring it to committee, and eventually we'll vote on it. And once we have a majority in the House of Commons, it then moves on to the second step, the Senate. Same thing happens in the Senate. Senators will start discussing it, start amending it, eventually we'll vote on it. Now when we have a majority in both houses of Parliament, we then move on to the final step, which is called royal assent. Now royal assent is a big show. That's when the Governor General sits comfortably in his big throne, that we'll get a chance to see later on. He sits there and the clerk of the Senate will stand up and will read the title of the bill. See Bill C-25, such and such and such. And he'll ask the Governor General, do you give royal assent to this bill? Now the only thing that the Governor General has to do is just go like this. And that nod makes that particular bill a law. And it's a binding law of Canada. And you see a few weeks later, what they'll do is they'll send a copy of the bill to the Governor General so he can sign it, just to make sure he was really giving assent. He wasn't falling asleep.
And try to take this inside the House of Parliament through glass, through a window.
Yeah, but in here, he comes second to the Speaker of the House. And you just want to follow me? We'll head over to the Library of Parliament.
Going down to the library.
A lot of tourists come in here not knowing this is the Canadian Parliament building. They'll often ask us when's the next mass. That's for one simple reason. No, I'm serious. It happens once every day. Somebody will walk up. Hey, it's a nice church. Well, that's because of neo-Gothic architecture. These arches that are pointed to the heavens and glowing ceiling that are so easy. Yeah, they used a special oil-based varnish on that wood. So as soon as it started, it was a matter of time. In less than 12 hours, everything was destroyed except.
It's not big the metal doors, so you know that.
The first thing you notice when you walk in the library definitely has to be the statue of Queen Victoria. It weighs 6 tons. It's sculpted out of one big piece of marble. Now, the statue weighs so much that the base of it has to go down 2 basements below us just to support it. That's because in 1876, when the library was completed, the Confederation only had 7 provinces. Today, we have 10 provinces and 2 territories. Now, the library has 650,000 books in its collection. But today, we are only seeing 1/10 of it. Now, 2 basements below us, some other books are kept, but also in a storage room outside of Parliament. Now, I've been told that in that one storage room, if we were to take all the books and put them in a straight line, we'd end up with about 8 kilometers of books. 6 different categories of books in the library. Books that talk about history, social science, political science, law books, and books that talk about Canadian culture. The Library of Parliament, unfortunately, is not open to the public. It's only for members of Parliament, senators, and their staff. You and I can't just come in here and try to get a book. Now take a look at the dome up there. I remember in 1916 there was a fire that destroyed the main building. Well, in 1952 there was a fire inside the library that started up there. Some kind of electrical failure that ended up causing a lot of water damage. So after the fire, what they did is they took every single piece of the wood that we see, numbered it, sent it all to Montreal where the wood was refurbished, fireproof, then brought back here in Ottawa. So the wood that we see today is Canadian white pine that dates back from 1876. All right, behind us you'll notice there's a cake made out of white sugar. The library view from the outside. It was given to The Senate sits Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays in the House of Commons, Monday to Friday. Now, if you look at the back, you'll notice we have 3 big chairs. The biggest one to your left is for Queen Elizabeth. And the one to your right is for Prince Philip, her husband. But like we talked about in Canada, the Governor General is the one that represents her. So the Honorable Raymond Natition, who is presently Governor General, that's where he'll take place for those nice royal assent things that he has to do. Now, the rest of it, in front of the Speaker's chair, then we have the clerk's table and the answer report. It's the same thing as House of Commons. Now, if you take a look at the ceiling, it is made out of gold, 24-karat gold leaves. And the coats of arms up there represent the different nations, the founding nations of our country. 3 lines represent England. 1 line represents Scotland. The dragon represents Wales. The harp represents Ireland. The flower de lis, represents France. And the 3 maple leaf represent the French, the English, and the native people of Canada. Now just a little bit below that, those 2 chandeliers that you see are big lights, well, they weigh 2 tons each. It's like having 4 elephants hanging from the ceiling. Now if you take a look on both sides, you'll notice paintings from the First World War that were commissioned by Lord Beaverbrook. This one in particular here is the Canadian troops landing in France before the start of the war in 1914. And on this side we have the Canadian troops helping the French build their first light railroad. Now like in the House of Commons, you're more than welcome to drive all the way to Ottawa and listen to
From the Tower of Parliament, it's 200-something feet high, and that's Ottawa.
There's a museum. Yeah, the first one. The first one, there's a black. No, right to the right.
Is the steps?
Yeah. She's over here.
Okay, this is another picture of Ottawa from the Tower of Parliament. We're 200-something feet high. I didn't catch the exact amount. This is actually a clock, that ball. When it's in the middle, it's 12 o'clock, noon, or midnight. It slides to one side or the other. It's 7 o'clock in the evening or morning, depending on which side it's on. It's on railroad tracks.
The other line.
Over to Chapel.
My grandfather was a Baptist preacher, and I'm now an Episcopalian. I was telling somebody one time that he thought Southern Baptist was going straight to hell. And this person I was talking to,
These are all buildings of Parliament.
Put them on the same elevator, don't you think that'd be nice?
This is our hotel. Right there. This is Ottawa.
there's the embassy.
And this is the American Embassy. Directly above us is the clock in the tower. If I get the tower after a while. Cut us off?
Yeah.
These are all buildings of the officials, and we're in the building of Parliament. This is a memorial to the people that died in the wars. This is right directly below the clock.
Were they Canadian? No.
Or we just came down out of. This is the House of Parliament. Those other buildings that I took from up in the tower are governmental buildings of some kind. They probably got names, but I don't know what they are. Pearl. Going right there. Where did he go? He's sitting on that bench. See him sitting on that bench? A black squirrel. There he goes. There he is again. This is the Tower on the Parliament building. I guess it's got maybe a different name than that, but it's 20 stories high, some 200 and something feet. And that clock is run by atomic energy time. The old mechanism is in there that used to run it, a regular clock mechanism, but it was too inaccurate. And sometime around the 50s, 1950s, they changed it, like everybody else does. Well, I'm running out of tape. Pass it to square from the ground. Now the sun's out there and he's probably going to get me.
There's a lot of shopping area underneath, little boutiques. Parliament, you see the library, the center block, the east and west block on both sides. The locks are hand operated. Yeah. Yeah. And we're coming to the Nepean Monument, and here is the Champlain with his astrolabe and the Indians, known to be the first guide. Was bought by someone for $5.
In Ottawa. We just stopped to pick up a little fruit or something.